Heartwarming moment, 8-year-old girl reveals unexpected wisdom that changed 100 investors' lives. In the heart of a small Midwestern town, an 8-year-old girl named Lily stood at the park, her laughter ringing like a sweet bell. Lily, raised by her hard-working mom, a waitress at the local diner, was filled with dreams that sparkled like the sun on a summer day. She watched her mother juggle late shifts and bills, learning resilience without fully understanding its weight. One day, while the sun painted the sky with soft gold hues, Lily found herself wandering near a cafe bustling with well-dressed investors. Their words flowed like quicksilver, sparkling with financial successes and breathless ambitions. Intrigued, she eavesdropped, feeling a tingle of curiosity swelling in her chest. "Can you hear me?" she practically shouted, summoning the bravery she usually saved for jump scares in movies. A few heads turned, surprised by the tiny figure before them. "What is your biggest dream?" Her innocent question hung in the air, a perfect collision of childhood wonder and high finance hype. The investors exchanged glances, their world disturbed by the genuine simplicity of her inquiry. As they began to share their dreams, a private jet, global companies, luxurious homes, their lives glimmered with privilege, contrasting sharply with Lily's everyday reality. Yet, something shifted. They recalled the warmth of community they had long left behind. Inspired by Lily's unfiltered view, a spark ignited within their group, leading to a whisper of an idea, to invest not just in businesses but in the very heart of the town that raised her. Sharing her excitement, Lily organized a town hall meeting. She scribbled notes at the diner, connecting with neighbors and friends who nodded in agreement, and soon enough, the entire community buzzed with anticipation. That evening, the air crackled with energy as townsfolk filled the hall, eager to witness this unlikely blend of worlds. Standing in front of the crowd, her little hands trembling, Lily raised a makeshift microphone. It was a stick, but it felt powerful in her grip. "Let us share our dreams," she announced, and her call assumed an electric quality, bringing everyone together. But as stories unfolded, voices grew heated during a discussion about class disparity. Townsfolk expressed their frustrations, feeling unheard and forgotten. Investors, taken aback, acknowledged their blind spots, uncomfortable yet determined. The atmosphere thickened with unease, and Lily sensed she was at the precipice of something significant. "What if we can't really change anything?" A voice erupted from the back, echoing doubt through the hall. Silence engulfed the room, tangible and heavy. All eyes turned to Lily, awaiting her response. In that moment, her heart pounded like a drum. Could she bridge this fierce divide? Lily felt the weight of hope and uncertainty coiling in her chest. With an unsteady breath, she seized the moment. But would her words be enough to mend what felt utterly broken? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As Lily gathered her thoughts, the atmosphere brimmed with potential for change and the uncertainty that accompanied it. Determined to guide the conversation back towards unity, kindness, and shared dreams, she felt the palpable weight of expectation. Could she really inspire everyone to see the path forward? In that moment, the world hung in balance, and Lily bravely took her first step towards making a difference. With a deep breath, Lily steadied her voice. What if change starts with just one dream? She looked around the room, her wide eyes locking onto those of the townspeople and the investors alike. What if we make our dreams fit together? The silence broke into murmurs as people turned to each other, contemplating her words. It was as if those two simple sentences had stirred the hidden chords of possibility. A farmer named Mr. Jenkins stood up, his face creased with weariness. "I've always dreamed of expanding my farm to produce more food for everyone." His voice cracked slightly, yet it ignited a spark. The more they spoke, the more hope mingled with the crowd's anxieties. Miss Clara, the librarian, added, "And I wish for a community center where every kid can read and grow." Lily's heart swelled at the unfolding exchange. Slowly, the investors, once distant, began to lean in. They looked at each other, their expressions softening. Something began to shift within them. What if we helped fund those dreams? One investor named Mark suggested, eyes brightening with inspiration. What if we brought back programs for local youth? Something real that can help everyone. Cheers erupted from the audience, encouraging a wave of optimism. The townspeople voiced their ideas once shelved under doubts and despair pulsing with life as the investors absorbed their collective energy. As the town hall echoed with voices of passion and possibility, Lily felt something new blooming inside her, a sense of belonging, connection, and profound purpose. It didn't matter that she was just a child, right then, she was their beacon of light. But beneath the cheers, Lily noticed some hesitance still lingered in the air. She caught a glimpse of old Mrs. Thompson, who sat at the back, her eyes clouded with uncertainty. But will they truly listen? She whispered, almost to herself. Lily's heart ached at that. Even amidst their enthusiasm, where she felt a spark of hope blazing bright, reminders of skepticism still hung in the room. With newfound courage, she stepped down from her makeshift podium and walked toward Mrs. Thompson. "What if we listened to each other more?" Lily asked gently, kneeling beside her. "Everyone has stories worth sharing. Sometimes dreams need more than just funding, they need understanding." The elderly woman's expression softened. "You're right, dear," she replied, her voice trembling with the weight of years of unanswered questions. "We've been divided for too long. It's hard to heal that." Lily nodded, feeling the threads of their connection knit tighter. "What if we hold more meetings like this? We can create a space where everyone can share their thoughts and hopes." The investors looked at each other, visibly moved by her compassion. Mark stepped forward. "Let us start with listening. We'll host a series of town halls, give everyone a chance to be heard. What do you think?" The crowd erupted with approval. Excitement filled the air, but as the applause settled, the reality of change still loomed vast and uncertain. With the night drawing to a close, Lily smiled, but deep down, she wondered would their bond hold through the challenges ahead? And just as the questions flickered in her mind, a stranger entered the hall, their sudden appearance cloaked in shadows. The tension in the room shifted, and everyone turned, curiosity and concern mixing in the air. Who had stepped into their moment of hope? That one figure could change everything. The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a tall silhouette. The murmurs spread quickly, a wave of unease rippling through the crowd like a gust of wind. Was this person friend or foe? Lily squinted, her heart racing. The newcomer appeared weathered, with a long coat that flapped slightly as they walked. A wide-brimmed hat cast shadows over their face, making it hard to read their expression. "Excuse me," the voice broke through the murmurs, a rough, gravelly tone that somehow held an unexpected warmth. "I'm sorry for interrupting. I saw the lights on and well, I had to come see what was happening." As the stranger moved closer, faces shifted from confusion to intrigue. They revealed striking blue eyes, contrasting starkly with a tired face etched with lines of experience. "I'm Tom," the stranger introduced himself, the tension in the room easing slightly. "I used to live here a long time ago." Lily felt a spark of recognition somewhere deep inside her. "You know this town?" "I do," Tom nodded. "I grew up on a farm just down the road before things changed. I left looking for better opportunities, but now," his voice faltered, glancing around the room, "I've come back to see this place I once called home." The crowd leaned in, eager for more. Their hearts pulsed in unison, hopeful for a connection, and in that moment, the magic of vulnerability blanketed the hall. "What do you mean by changed?" Miss Clara asked quietly, voice barely above a whisper. Tom's gaze softened. "The farms withered, the businesses closed. People left looking for jobs, and the heart of this town fell silent. But hearing your dreams tonight, it's like a door I thought was locked forever just opened. It's powerful. Lily's eyes widened, every word striking a chord inside her. She could feel the shared history grounding them all, and she found the courage to stand again. And we want to bring it back, she exclaimed, her voice ringing clear. Together, we can dream again. Tom smiled, the weight of loneliness lifting. Yes, you can. But it won't be easy. You'll need to face your fears too. Like what? A voice piped up from the back. Not everyone wants to see this place thrive again, Tom replied, his voice lower now. Some are afraid of change. They'll push back. I found that out the hard way. Lily's heart sank at his words. The thought of setbacks felt heavy, but she recognized that they needed to confront those fears head-on. She took a deep breath, pushing away the doubt. But what if we face those fears together? What if we take the dreams we've shared and make them louder? A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Tom's determined gaze met hers, intrigued by her resilience. We can start small, he encouraged. Host a market where everyone showcases their goods and talents. It's a simple start, but it can remind everyone what they care for. Cheers erupted again, igniting sparks of hope and ambition. They embraced possibility, feeling their collective strength grow. Lily looked at Tom, her heart swelling with gratitude. Somehow, he had become a part of their revival. As the room buzzed with excitement and ideas, Lily caught a flicker of uncertainty in Tom's eyes. But remember, he warned, with every dream, there are shadows of doubt. Stay united, and don't allow them to divide you. Just as the room filled with a renewed purpose, she noticed a figure quietly withdrawing to the back. It was Mrs. Thompson, still hesitant, still worried. Will they truly listen? She had asked earlier. Lily rushed toward her, wanting to reassure her. But as she turned, a low rumble echoed outside, a distant reminder of change brewing. What came next could shift everything. Would they dare to embrace the storm? Lily's heart pounded as the rumble outside grew louder, a haunting reminder of the storm brewing both in the skies and within the hearts of her neighbors. She pushed through the crowd until she reached Mrs. Thompson, who stood with her arms crossed, gaze fixed toward the door. Mrs. Thompson, Lily said gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. We can do this. I promise we can navigate the fears together. The older woman turned, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I want to believe that, dear, but what if things don't go as we hope? We won't know until we try. Lily's voice trembled but held a strength she didn't know she had. Every dream we have is worth fighting for. It matters more than the fear. Mrs. Thompson sighed deeply, visibly weighing the hope against her hesitations. What if the change we seek is more than we can handle? Lily looked at Tom, who stood quietly, letting their exchange unfold. His presence offered her courage. Sometimes, the challenges are what teach us the most. They help us grow, she said, her voice growing firmer. As Mrs. Thompson absorbed Lily's words, a chorus of voices erupted behind them. We need to act. Someone shouted. Create a banner. Spread the word. The energy shifted in the room. Tom stepped forward, a fire igniting in his spirit. This is it. Now is the time to come together. Let us not only hold the market but plan events that bring life back to Main Street. Like a festival. Shouted another familiar voice, bursting with excitement. Games, music, food, let us showcase what we all love. The crowd roared with agreement, the air crackling with renewed energy. Lily glanced back at Mrs. Thompson, who seemed to be softening under the warmth of the community. Can you see? Lily asked, her eyes shining with determination. Your voice, your worries, they matter to us. We want to hear them. Tears slipped down Mrs. Thompson's cheeks. I suppose I just fear losing what little we have left, she admitted, her voice shaking. Tom stepped closer, kneeling to meet her gaze. I understand. All change comes with risk. But without taking that risk, we miss the chance to build something beautiful, something stronger than our fears. The crowd began chanting, "Together. Together." And the sound resonated through the hall like a heartbeat. It was infectious. Lily's spirit soared. In that moment, she not only saw the vision for the town blossom but also the courage flickering to life in each soul present. "Let us meet tomorrow. We can brainstorm ideas and make plans," she called with growing enthusiasm. As the crowd began to disperse, laughter and hopeful chatter filled the air. But a shadow remained with Lily. The storm outside had only intensified. It bore down heavily on their town and stood as a reminder that the path ahead would not be easy. No sooner had she thought this than Tom raised his voice, "I want to remind you to keep an eye on the weather. Change is coming. It can be both frightening and refreshing. Don't forget that even storms can be followed by rainbows." His words hung in the air like an invitation, binding them closer to the promise of hope. As Lily exited the hall, she felt a pull within her, beckoning her forward. The weight of uncertainty sat on her chest like a familiar friend that wouldn't let go. Who would stand up in the face of opposition? Was she prepared for what lay ahead? Just as she reached the door, a loud crack of thunder rumbled through the town, shaking her to her core. What will this storm bring? Lily murmured to herself, her spirit torn between hope and dread. A single thought lingered: would they have the strength to stand together against whatever lay ahead? Lily stepped out into the stormy night, the heavy rain drenching her instantly. She shivered but pressed on, determined. The air smelled fresh, electric with possibility, but it was layered with apprehension. Each raindrop echoed her thoughts, splattering against the pavement like the doubts that clouded her mind. What if they failed? She hurried home, her mind swirling with plans and fears. The wind whipped around her, almost as if trying to sweep her back into the warmth of the community hall. But she pushed through the storm, feeling the weight of the town's hopes pressing against her like the heavy rain. As she entered her small house, the familiar smell of home wrapped around her. She took a moment to breathe, letting the warmth of the living room soothe her before she plopped onto the couch. The distant clap of thunder seemed to mock her uncertainty. Closing her eyes, she tried to visualize the community gathering tomorrow, faces lit with excitement as they shared ideas. But the image flickered uncertainly, overshadowed by the storm raging outside. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock at the door. It was a small sound, easily lost in the tumult of nature, yet curious. Who would brave the storm this late? Hesitating, Lily got up and peeked through the window. To her surprise, she saw a figure standing there, drenched but unwavering. It was Tom. She opened the door, the rain pouring in with him like a tempest. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her heart racing not just from the storm. "I couldn't let you stew alone," he replied, shaking rain from his hair. "I wanted to make sure you were okay and see if we can brainstorm before tomorrow." Lily laughed lightly, the sound bubbling up from her chest. "You're crazy to come out in this." "Maybe," he grinned, his eyes shining even under the flickering light. "But we both know the stakes. If we're going to make a real change, we need to be ready." Together, they huddled around the small kitchen table. The room was filled with the comforting scent of cocoa that she had made earlier, now steaming in mugs. As they brainstormed, ideas flowed like the rain outside, each suggestion sparking new energy. They planned a potluck for the festival, music that could echo down Main Street, games for families and kids. Hope wrapped itself around them, and in that moment, the storm felt like a distant memory. As they scribbled ideas, Tom's expression shifted suddenly. "Lily," he said quietly. "What if all of this is just wishful thinking? What if it doesn't work?" Her heart sank. The question hung in the air like a stubborn cloud. "It might not, but if we don't try, we'll never know." "But what if we fail?" he pressed, a genuine concern touching his tone. "Then we'll figure it out together. We have each other, and that's worth something." Her voice steadied as she spoke. We have the community, too. We'll fight for them, and they'll fight for us. Lightning slashed the sky outside, illuminating Tom's thoughtful face. You're right, he finally said, a new determination forming. The rain continued to pour, but inside Lily felt warmth spreading through her chest. They weren't alone. The others would gather tomorrow, bringing their fears but also their hopes, ready to stand together. As Tom headed for the door, he paused and looked back. Whatever comes, we'll face it. Rain or shine, it doesn't matter. We're stronger together. Lily nodded, knowing that she would cling to that sentiment. Outside, the storm howled, but in her heart, she felt a storm of courage rising. What will tomorrow hold for us? She murmured, her gaze drifting to the rain-slicked window. The echo of thunder roared in response, a fierce reminder that change was inevitable and it was coming for them all. The storm raged on through the night, but inside Lily's home, the air was thick with anticipation and hope. She watched the rain dance against the window, each droplet telling a story. Her mind raced with thoughts. Tomorrow's gathering felt like standing on the edge of something new. Could they really make a difference? Would the community find strength in their ideas? Sleep didn't come easily. Every clap of thunder sent ripples through her resolve. The vision of the community hall filled her mind, an image brightened not only by her hopes but also by her fears. She felt connected to every soul in the town, all of whom relied on each other and this event to bring a little light into their lives. Morning finally broke, gray and weary like the remnants of yesterday's storm. As she groggily pulled herself out of bed, memories of the previous night flooded back. Tom had been there, sharing the weight of their mission, and for a moment, she had felt invincible. Lily got dressed, the coolness of the day reminding her of how fragile resolve could feel. She brewed coffee, the smell rich and aromatic, cutting through the morning chill. With each sip, she began to tether her nerves. The community hall buzzed with activity when she arrived. The small space overflowed with a mix of voices and laughter that seemed to fill every corner. Tables were arranged, decorations were being hung, and people chatted enthusiastically about the festival. As she looked around, she felt a warm pulse of energy ignite inside her. They were in this together. Seeing Tom setting up a table across the hall, she couldn't help but smile. He caught her gaze and returned it with a reassuring grin. Together, they had sparked a flicker of hope, and it was spreading. Looking good. She called to him as she approached. Just trying to keep up with you, he laughed, handing her a stack of flyers that advertised the festivities. I think we're really going to pull this off, Lily. But in the back of her mind lingered a doubt. What if they hadn't prepared enough? What if nobody showed up? Then her earlier conviction echoed, they were stronger together. People began to flock in as the clock edged closer to the event. Faces she recognized and some unfamiliar filled the hall, their chatter blending into an eager hum. Children ran around, laughter bubbling up, reminding her of the joy that could be found even in uncertain times. Minutes before they were set to begin, Tom gathered his voice, standing tall on a makeshift platform. Everyone, he called, the chatter dying down. We're thrilled you're here. Let's make this festival unforgettable. Lily stood to the side, her heart racing as she felt the energy in the room surge. But just as he began to speak, the door swung open with a gust of wind, drawing everyone's attention. A small girl, perhaps 8 years old, stood in the doorway, drenched but smiling wide. Her clothes hung heavy with rainwater, pouring tiny streams onto the floor. Sorry I'm late. She chirped, her voice bright and hopeful. I had to wait for the storm to pass, like you said, Lily. Lily felt the room shift. All eyes turned to her in curiosity. Why would this girl mention her? You said sometimes storms need to happen, so we can appreciate the sunshine. I wanted to bring some sunshine today. The room erupted in laughter, and just like that, the tension eased. The little girl ran forward, pulling out a small bouquet of hand-picked wildflowers she had gathered, lighting up the somber atmosphere. Lily's heart swelled. In that moment, she understood the depth of the girl's wisdom. It wasn't just about the festival or their plans, it was about bringing people together, embracing both storms and sunshine. As the girl handed her the flowers, she locked eyes with Lily, a perfect reflection of innocence and determination. Suddenly, Lily felt the pulse of the community around her. She was reminded, even in rain, hope could bloom unexpectedly. Little did she know that this encounter would shape the course of the festival in ways she never anticipated. What else could this day bring? Was the question whispering in Lily's mind, as the audience erupted in applause, ready to celebrate. Tom continued, his voice steady but filled with warmth. Folks, today is not just about what is happening outside but what is happening in our hearts. Each one of you brings something unique, just like those wildflowers. The laughter lingered, wrapping around Lily like a blanket. But as Tom spoke, she couldn't shake the feeling that their day hinged on a fragile balance. Would the warmth of the crowd be enough to push aside the shadows? She glanced over at Tom. His enthusiasm was infectious, but was it enough to steer them through the uncertainty that loomed? As people settled into their seats, Lily glanced at the little girl, still holding her bouquet, her twinkling eyes a mirror of curiosity and hope. It struck her that the girl had sparked something deeper than laughter. She had ignited a conversation about resilience. The agenda for the event included a mix of speeches, local talent performances, and a community brainstorming session. Each element was designed to spark connection, to remind the townsfolk that they could overcome anything together. Yet a whisper of doubt nagged at her. Would they leave with more than just good memories? As the first speaker took the stage, a local artist who had painted a mural downtown, the atmosphere shifted again. He spoke passionately about his love for the town, his dreams for its future, and how art had a way of uniting people. The audience began to lean in, their expressions lighting up, hanging on to every word. Suddenly, the little girl stood up, raising her hand. "Can I say something?" she asked, her voice small but firm. Echoes of surprise rippled through the crowd, but Tom just smiled and nodded. Everyone expected her to say something cute, something childish. Instead, she spoke with a clarity that belied her age. What if we painted our hopes? What if we used colors that represent our dreams instead of just sadness? Her words hung in the air, drawing silence. Lily's heart raced, a rush of pride and astonishment coursed through her. Here was this little girl, with insights that could change everything. People whispered among themselves, nodding as ideas began to form. The girl was right, they needed something vivid to overshadow the grayness of fear. As the day unfolded, ideas began to bubble to the surface. Groups formed around tables, discussing how best to implement community projects, and share resources. Lily joined one of the conversations, sharing her vision for a community garden. The thought of transforming their surroundings into something alive and nourishing ignited a spark in her. But as people got swept away in discussions, a sense of urgency gripped her. What if the energy of this festival didn't translate into real action? She glanced at Tom again, who was animatedly talking with a group about music workshops for children. A flicker of hope began to bloom. With the afternoon sun slipping through the clouds and casting rays across the hall, Lily felt a palpable energy surrounding them. People were smiling more. Reconnecting. A community slowly knitting itself back together, thread by thread. "Lily? Are you okay?" Tom's voice broke through her thoughts. "Yeah, just wondering if we can keep this momentum. We can take the spark of today and turn it into something big." "But it's up to all of us," Tom urged, looking around the room. "What we need is a plan. A way to channel this into lasting change." But Lily's mind triggered another thought. What else would they uncover? As the conversations deepened and laughter filled the room, she felt excited yet nervous. Would they truly harness the power of their connection, or could it dissipate like clouds after a storm? She couldn't help but wonder, as the audience's energy peaked, what challenges might they face next? The energy in the room buzzed like a beehive, each conversation a flurry of ideas that danced in the air. Lily's heart swelled as she observed the connections forming. A mother animatedly discussed organizing workshops for children to learn gardening skills, while an elderly gentleman fervently shared his dream of restoring the town's historic buildings. This was what Tom meant: the spark of hope, the blossoming of community spirit. But doubt lingered at the edge of her happiness. Words were flying, but did anyone have the courage to follow through? She leaned closer to Tom, who was busy sketching out ideas on a whiteboard, his enthusiasm radiating. "Tom, do you really think this can lead to something?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He turned, eyes shining. "It already is. Look at them. They want to be a part of this. We just need to help guide them." Just then, the little girl returned, her bouquet slightly wilted but her spirit undiminished. "Are you going to paint your hopes?" she asked, looking at Lily and Tom directly, eagerness bubbling in her tone. Lily knelt to her level. "Yes, we are. Together. We'll make it happen." The girl's eyes lit up, and she bounced back to her group, inspiring even more chatter. There was something magical about her unguarded hope, a reminder that, sometimes, simplicity held profound power. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, painting the walls with warm hues, things shifted. Groups began forming into a huddle, discussing logistics, responsibilities, and timelines. Suddenly, a wave of responsibility washed over Lily. This wasn't just a feel-good moment anymore, it was turning into a commitment. "Hey, everyone!" Tom's voice rose above the gathering chatter. "Let us bring it all together. We need a representative from each group. Who here is ready to take charge of bringing these ideas to life?" A moment of hesitation blanketed the room. Faces shifted from excited hope to uncertainty. But then a woman, her hands calloused from years of manual work, stood up. "I'll do it. I can manage the community garden project." The trickle of courage rippled through the crowd. One by one, others began to find their voices. A young man spoke up about leading workshops, while an elderly couple volunteered to coordinate efforts with local businesses. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. This was happening. Their dreams were being molded into plans that could significantly change their town. But as joy surged, another wave of fear crept in. What if things don't go as we hope? She thought. What if all these newfound plans crumbled under pressure? Someone tapped her shoulder. It was Tom. "You okay?" Lily nodded, though her heart raced. "I just wonder if we can hold on to this." Tom leaned down, giving her a reassuring smile. "Remember today. This is a new beginning. As long as we remind each other of our hopes, we'll get there." Just then, a loud cheer erupted across the room as they laid out the plans. Hope spilled from every corner, sweeping away her doubt, yet the anticipation was heavy with potential. What lay ahead was unknown, with challenges surely lurking. Lily took a deep breath. Together, they would face whatever came their way. But what other hurdles awaited them as they began to make these dreams a reality? Would their first steps be as bold as their dreams? As laughter filled the air once again, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real journey was just beginning. The next meeting was scheduled for a week later, and as the days passed, Lily felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. It was a strange sensation knowing that a group of neighbors, armed only with dreams and courage, were now committed to something larger than themselves. The town buzzed with energy, but Lily remained cautious. Her heart was eager, yet her mind kept nipping at her heels with worries about what could go wrong. On the day of their first official gathering, the town hall greeted them with a warm afternoon glow. Lily arrived early, setting up chairs and arranging tables, the aroma of fresh coffee wafting through the air like an invitation. She pulled in a deep breath, savoring it as if it might clear some lingering butterflies from her stomach. Slowly, familiar faces trickled in. The woman from the gardening project was the first to arrive, her determined smile as reassuring as the sunrise. Shortly thereafter, the young man who volunteered to teach workshops appeared, his enthusiasm palpable. As each person entered, a spark ignited, building into a collective fire that Lily could almost feel threatening to burn through the walls of doubt surrounding her. Tom arrived last, bringing with him a draft of the plans they had all discussed. The chatter swelled in volume, the room seething with ideas, and for a moment, Lily was caught up in the tide of community spirit. But then, amid the lively exchanges, reality hit. What if this fell apart? What if the ideas faltered, and people lost hope? She locked eyes with Tom, who seemed to read the worry on her face. He gave her a reassuring nod, and she felt herself relax just a little. "All right, everyone," Tom called, signaling for attention amidst the growing noise. "Let us get started." Lily's heart raced as eyes turned toward her. This was her opportunity to hold space, to lead. "Thank you all for gathering today. We've come together for something bigger than any of us can do alone." As they kicked off the meeting, volunteers stepped forward, sharing progress reports. By the time the afternoon slipped into evening, excitement buzzed through the community like the vibrancy of the flowers they planned to plant together. Yet there were challenges lurking, shadows creeping in at the edges. As the discussion turned to implementation, voices grew quiet. Doubt floated thick in the air, especially when the topic of funding arose. That familiar knot of worry tightened in Lily's stomach. "I think we're getting ahead of ourselves," she said, speaking softly but firmly. "We need to tackle what's in front of us first, one step at a time. Let us focus on what we can do now." The group shifted uneasily. Uncertainty loomed larger than before. Although the dreams hung high, today they were all grounded in mundane concerns. Just then, the little girl from the first meeting, with her wilted bouquet, raised her small hand. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to her. "You mean, we can plant flowers with no money? We just need to ask people to help us, right?" Her innocence brought muted laughter, but her words struck a chord. "Exactly." Tom beamed. "We just need to ask, just like you said. Sometimes the simplest ideas are the best ones." For a moment, that little girl's unfiltered wisdom bridged the gap between doubt and action. Encouragement spread like wildfire again, and smiles returned, igniting passionate conversations about community outreach and support. Lily watched, heart thawing with every exchange. Maybe they could follow through. Maybe they just needed to believe in their dreams, as simple as that. Yet, as the meeting ended and plans were made to meet again, the question lingered in her heart. Could they keep the momentum? What if naysayers crept back in, or fear took root where hope had flourished? As she looked around the room, vibrant discussions buzzing anew, she felt that flicker of excitement mixed with the weight of responsibility. One thing was clear, the real challenge had just begun. How would they maintain the spirit that ignited this movement? Glancing at Tom, they exchanged knowing looks. Together, they would figure it out. But would their community truly stand united? And what challenges awaited just beyond the horizon? The days turned into weeks, and the momentum gradually transformed into a vibrant tapestry of community spirit. Lily felt the pulse of change all around her. The town hall buzzed with laughter, excitement, and hope, as the townspeople united in their shared dreams. Garden projects sprouted, workshops were organized, and even plans for a community festival began to take root. Each meeting stitched their spirits closer, yet with each triumph, shadows of doubt still loomed just out of sight. One evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky a deep orange, Lily wandered to the park where everything had started. She sat on the swing, her feet grazing the ground, the familiar creaking of chains echoing her thoughts. She remembered how a simple question had sparked a wildfire of change. Each person she had spoken with began as a stranger, but now their laughter rang like a family, bound by dreams. But a slightly haunting anxiety nagged at her. Would they be able to sustain this? What if divisions crept back in? Just then, she heard the soft patter of footsteps. It was Tom, his expression dawned with determination. "Hey," he said, swinging beside her. "I thought I'd find you here." "Just thinking," she replied, gazing ahead. "Look at the park. It feels alive again, doesn't it?" "Yes, it does," Tom said, his eyes lighting up. "You and this community have breathed life back into it. But are you okay? I sense something is on your mind." Lily hesitated, then spoke up. "What if we let each other down? What if the doubts creep back? I know we're doing amazing things, but what if it's not enough?" Tom nodded thoughtfully, the weight of her words hanging between them. "You know, change takes time and effort. It's not like flipping a switch. Some days will be brighter, while others might feel heavy. But it's about believing in one another, leaning on each other." His words settled like warm honey in her heart. He was right. It'd never been about perfection. The process itself was a living proof of their dedication. But what if that process met resistance? The thought drifted away as they gathered their courage for the next community meeting. The hall was filled to the brim the moment they stepped inside, charged with energy that hummed in the air. Faces beamed with excitement as they prepared to unveil their progress to the town. Tom stepped up first, the crowds ushering in applause and cheers. "Welcome, everyone. Tonight, we stand together, united by our shared aspirations." He took a deep breath and looked around knowingly. "We've faced storms, yes, but the skies are clearing. We have hope blooming everywhere." Cheers erupted as he called forth each member to share their experiences. One by one, they stood to share stories of triumph, of community gardens bursting with color, of workshops that had brought children together, of laughter echoing through the streets during the farmers' market. But as the night wore on, a voice cut through the joy, a familiar voice, one weighed heavy by concern. It was Mrs. Thompson. "I love what we've accomplished together, but my heart feels burdened. What if things fall apart again? Some still think we aren't capable of change." A hush enveloped the hall. The tensions that had held them back arose, and uncertainty reared its head again. The air thickened with doubt. Just then, a small figure surged to the front. It was the little girl with the wildflowers. She stood tall, clutching a bouquet in her hands. "Mrs. Thompson," she said sweetly. "You need to believe in us. Just like planting seeds, we all need time and care to grow. If we just keep planting love, we will flourish." A tremor of emotion rippled through the crowd as her words washed over them. Hopeful, innocent, and undeniably true. The crowd exploded into supportive shouts and applause, echoing back the sentiments she had unknowingly planted. Lily's heart raced as she stepped forward. "She's right. You all have come together to lift each other up. And those doubts? We can turn them into challenges. Together, we can nurture our dreams, whatever comes our way." With that, the crowd erupted again, the laughter transforming into waves of excitement. Together, they shared their dreams once more, fueling each flame of hope they had nurtured together. As the evening wound down, Lily reflected on all that had transpired. They had faced uncertainty, and still, together, they flourished. They were not strung together by perfection or fear, no, they were bound by love, connection, and unyielding belief in their dreams. That night, Lily stepped out into the cool air, feeling the warmth of the town surrounding her. She felt Tom beside her. "You know," he said, "as long as we hold on to each other, we'll never fall apart." Holding his gaze, she nodded, realizing that their journey had just begun. Challenges would come, but so would triumphs. They would rise, like flowers reaching for the sun, through all storms. With every beat of her heart, the promise of tomorrow danced with possibility. And so, the vibrant town with its blossoming dreams stood tall, hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. Now, it's your turn to embrace the journey of growth. Don't miss your chance to dive deeper into extraordinary stories like this. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that are waiting for you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help keep this community thriving. Comment below, share your thoughts and feelings about the powerful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a spark of hope in their lives. Only true fans like you understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions.